Yes, we're going to talk about how my husband died and immediately started talking to me through the other side. And if this is something you're going through, you want to stick around, or if you're just curious, like what's possible after someone crosses over, you want to stick around for that too, all right? Because I'm going to share how you can navigate this journey because it's not, I know it's not for everybody. It's just not for everybody. But here's the deal that I really want to emphasize. Even though I have been a conscious channeler, and in that sense, a medium, because they're very related, I didn't even occur to me that a person could continue their relationship across the veil. You would have thought that that would have been something that I read about or heard from other mediums because we knew a lot of many mediums and psychics, but that's not the case. And so if me, right, like me, I am not aware of that, wasn't aware of that, then how could anybody else be? How could anybody else like know this until it starts happening to them? And so that's what happened to me. It just caught me by surprise. I didn't think that I'd start hearing Alan. It never occurred to me. It didn't. Like, sounds crazy, right? Like, wait, your husband was a psychic medium. Like, you didn't think you start hearing from him? No. So that's why I knew it was real because I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't looking for it. I didn't have any opinion. I didn't not believe, but I didn't also believe fully because I just thought, well, you cross over, maybe I'll go to a medium and maybe I'll get some confirmation. That's the traditional route, right? And in fact, I was getting messages from a medium before Alan even passed over because she reached out to me when she heard my story that I was writing about it on my Facebook profile page because Alan I could feel he wanted me to share our memories. I was sharing like all of our trips we took together and stories, and it was became a memorial to him before he even died. It was strange, but it brought me a lot of comfort. So she read my story, and I had met her at a training, a workshop I'd taken years ago. She reached out to me and she said, I just want you to know that I so understand what you're going through, and I'm picking up on Alan because at that point he was already being cared for. He was at a care home for a short time, maybe about 2-3 weeks, and she was picking up on him, and she knew that he was going to transition. And by that time, I knew it too. And she started to tell me what he was saying and what he wanted. And I know that he reached out to her even before he passed to nudge her to connect with me. And she said pretty much the same. She's, I can feel that he's wanting me to support you. And so what she said was that he wanted to come home from the care home, that he was terrified that he was going to die there and never be able to be with me again. But he understood why I had put him in the care home because I was terrified that I wouldn't be able to take care of him because he had dementia. And because I couldn't sleep, I fell asleep one night and he fell, and that's how he fractured his hip. And even though he went to the ER and that was repaired, the ER doctor, took me aside and said, I have to tell you that because your husband has dementia and this fracture, it's possible that he may not recover. And this happens with elderly people when they suffer something a bit catastrophic. It could be they get really sick, maybe with pneumonia. Maybe they fall like Alan did and get hurt. And he says that can happen. Their body starts going to decline. And that's what occurred with Alan. So he was in this care home because I was terrified that if something worse would happen. I don't know what else worse could happen, but I was just so overwhelmed at this point with caring for him. He was in this care home. But my friend Angela, who, by the way, has since crossed over herself, She said he wants to come home. In fact, he made the smoke detector in my bedroom go off in the middle of like at 4 a.m. when I'd just woken up. Exactly at 4 a.m., the alarm went off, and for briefly, and it stopped. And I knew he was trying to tell me to come home. So he came home, crossed over less than a week after he returned home. And like anybody, initially, I'm just in shock after he passed. He left his body while I was washing dishes, and I think that's so typical of him. He said he wasn't going to. He wanted to go on his birthday, so he died on his birthday. He chose that date. He told me deliberately to say the soul chooses when they exit. So he chose the day, the time. It was like 8 something in the evening, barely enough time for the hospice person to come, the nurse to come and pronounce him dead officially, so beyond the death certificate, so that his death would have been recorded on his birthday. So, like anybody who's just lost their loved one, I was in shock and I was just going through the motions. And the nurse came, then the mortuary person came to collect his body. We had agreed he was going to be cremated, and took him that night, same night. And I went to sleep. And the next morning, I woke up kind of out of it, completely out of it, as one would be. And I just sat in the living room on that sofa right behind me. Literally, that sofa right there where my thumb is pointing. Okay, right there. Oh, look, right there. I sat on that sofa staring out at the sliders. There's sliding doors directly in front of me right here as I'm sitting talking to you. And the curtains were pulled back, and I could see the blue sky and the trees like waving in the wind, and it was a beautiful day, and the birds were singing their song. And all of a sudden I heard the song. Well, it's not really a song in the terms of lyrics, but the theme from the movie Ghost. It came into my mind, and I knew it was him because that was the first movie we'd ever seen after we met. He says it was forecasting our future, because unlike Sam, who leaves, Demi Moore, right? Like leaves for heaven, Alan was going to stick around. So that song came into my mind, and I knew I had to go look it up on YouTube, and I found it and I played it over and over. And then what I wasn't prepared for was feeling of this immense love that just washed over me. It just flooded my whole body. And of course I cried, and I cried. And it wasn't until months later, well, maybe even he's saying probably more like years later, that I understood that I wasn't just feeling grief like anyone would, saying you're not here. That's the thought you're holding, and that thought you're not here, you're gone, or you're gone, you're lost to me, is going to make you feel grief. It's going to make you cry, feel sad. But I was also feeling his incredible love that he was intensely projecting. And that was why I felt this energy. He said that was not just grief alone, that was my thoughts of loss combined with love. And so it was intense, and I couldn't shake it. It was just so clear to me that he was still here, that he wanted to talk, because then he started talking to me, just started saying that this was agreed, that he was going to leave at this age, at this time, and that he was going to help humanity from the other side, that this was his work, was to help spirits who had crossed over to connect with loved ones in a body who were open to the idea of continuing the relationship, right? Not everybody is going to be open to this. In fact, he says most people are not going to be ready for this, okay? And that's okay, that's fine. But he said that we were here to help those who would be drawn to us. And we were going to write a book about it. And that was the book that I ended up writing with him. But that first day, he told me all that. He said, we're going to write a book. You're going to be helping people. You're going to be teaching. I'm going to be working with you and through you, and more will come. You'll understand it as it is you're ready to. And even now, it's still evolving, even now. But back then, I knew he was with me. I knew that the soul survives death. I knew that we can't be destroyed. I knew that. That was on, in my favor. But what wasn't so much in my favor was that we had a lot of unresolved issues because he hadn't been, in his own words, he admits it freely and more than I do. He says, I was a shitty husband, Pam. I confess to that. I wasn't there for you. I wasn't talking to you. I shut down years ago, and I loved you intensely with all my heart and soul, but I never really showed it. And he didn't. And I don't mean just like lack of gifts, because I really don't care about gifts. Anybody who really knows me knows that I appreciate it, but you don't need to give me presents. I need your emotional presence if you're in my life. I need you to talk to me, engage with me, share with me, right? That's what love is. It's not all the surface stuff. That's all like extra bonus things. But I didn't have that connection with Alan. And I thought, how is this going to be? You're not in a body anymore. And how am I going to feel connected to you this way? Is that even going to be enough? Because I can hear you, but what else is involved, right? I didn't know. And he said, you'll find out. And he also said, in every couple, every two people, whether it's a partner relationship or, let's say, family relationship, right? Because there are people who are kind of trying to connect with their siblings or their parents or whoever, other family members, or even friends. He said, but it's still the same thing. Like, the process is just the level of, let's say, intimacy that's possible is obviously different with a couple. So I said, well, are we going to do this? And he just asked me to trust him. And I've always trusted him on that level. I didn't trust him when he was in the body emotionally, because he had let me down so many times and hadn't been there for me at the times that I really needed him. He knows that he failed me at the critical times when I needed him, and that he had a lot to make up for. But I was willing to give him a chance to make up for it. And the strange thing was was so shut down emotionally that I forgot how much I loved Alan until he died, because he had been so neglectful and so dissociated, so not present in our relationship, that I instinctively just shut down my heart, because even though I loved him, because I didn't want to be hurt in that way. Didn't want to be vulnerable to his neglect or anything he said. I just wanted to not feel it. So how do you do that unless you shut down? And there's a time and a place where that's appropriate, to protect your heart, to protect yourself. That's good. It's not a bad thing at all. It's necessary in the 3D world. But when he returned, he said, Pam, you have to come alive. He said, yeah, when I was here with you, I was dead. I was dead. I was dead emotionally. I was here in a body, but like so many people around you, Pam, I was one of the walking dead. Walking through life, talking, functioning, going to work, all that. But for all intents and purposes, I was fast asleep to my spirit, to my soul, and I was dead inside. But now I'm fully alive. Can't you feel it? And I said, yeah, I feel it. I do. And that was when I had all this regret. Like, why couldn't have you done this when you were in a body? We could have had such a different life. We could have had fun. We could have had passion. We could have had it all. So I had to process my anger, my resentment. I had to forgive him and forgive myself. That was what took me a while to go through. And so slowly, though, he just started to work with me and really helped me wake up, come alive, because like he was right. I was dead. Like he says, most people are dead because most people are not living as their true, authentic selves. So that's why we ask you, are you your true self? If you are, then you're vibrantly alive. You know your worth, right? You know your truth. You aren't talked out of it because you know what you believe, you know what you stand for, and you're fine with letting everybody be who they are because it doesn't threaten you. You just go, well, they're not aligned with me, bless them, but they're not my people, right? And it's okay because everyone is here for their unique journey, for their unique theme to explore, right? So our theme, I came to find out that we were to explore, was about this higher love. It wasn't ever really about it on a personal level, let's even on a sexual level, which had frustrated both of us in the beginning because we couldn't seem to sustain this passion that was initially there in the relationship. It just kind of disappeared for different reasons. For him, it was his guilt, knowing that he was selfish and he wasn't working on himself, and therefore he was letting me down, and he couldn't work out of that, which was his lesson in this life. He realized later he was here to work on clearing and healing his insecurities, but he didn't do it. But because he didn't do it, and inside his spirit, his soul knew, hey, this is what you came here for, dude. So because he was in resistance to his true self, he became dissociated. He became shut down. And the more shut down he became, the more I felt like, well, now you're really not here because he wasn't. So how can I rely on you? I need to take care of my family, you, our son, like me. I'm the one that has to kind of take charge, which I did, because somebody has to take care of that, not just the household, but life itself, all the little minutia of life, it all fell on me. And he would at times be a little cruel, even what he says, without thinking, he'd be cruel and say, yeah, you're more the man than me. And I said, yeah, like, this is kind of fucked up, dude. Like, what's wrong with you? But that was our relationship. He'd gone to sleep and I'd gone to sleep. So when he came back and said, you gotta come alive. And I said, well, how do I do that? And he just kept giving me songs, like songs. And I'd feel his love come through in these songs. And mind you, we didn't play music during our marriage. Not really. Not on a day-to-day basis. Now it's every day. So I felt him come in with the songs. And it wasn't just the lyrics, it was each note of the song. He opened me up to feeling his love through the music. And to this day, I always am listening to these songs, like every day. There's not a day that goes by that I don't listen to the songs, the music that he brought to me, that he put into my mind to listen to play, or experience. I really call it an experience, right? So if I'm wanting to connect with him, the easiest way for me to do it is by listening to music. Even at night when I'm in bed and talking to him, he'll say, let's listen to our songs. So I'll do that. And we just seem to get closer, because music is pure emotion. So in the early days, it was getting over the anger and the resentment. And the more I did that, the more I could feel him, and I could see him in my mind's eye. And I saw him holographically, like see-through, right? Like if you watch the movie Star Wars, the first Star Wars, you remember that hologram of Princess Leia saying, "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope," or something like that, right? And she's like a you can see the hologram like filtering through, and he looked like that. And I saw him twice that way. And I see him mostly, though, in my mind's eye really clearly, both when I close my eyes and when I open my eyes. But mostly we connect with each other through just pure love, just this love that I don't know how to explain it. It's like having this phys- not physical, quasi-physical hug that feels like he's holding me on the outside, but it's also internal, like this love that's just always present. Like it's as if I'm always smiling inside, whether or not I'm reflecting that smile on the outside. There, it's internal and external. It is multi-sensory, and in a very real sense, it's multidimensional. So this is a love unlike any love that people have in when they're in a body with somebody else in a body. You can only have this relationship with someone who's in spirit. And so you can't expect that people who don't have this to understand it. And that's what I was shocked when I realized that mediums didn't understand it. You know, that mediums didn't understand this is real, right? That they were all like skeptical. In fact, there are a lot of mediums who will actively, deliberately mislead you because they don't want you to, stop coming to meet them. They truly are. There's some of them, not all of them, but there are many who are very much against direct contact through the veil and forget about continuing relationship through the veil. So you cannot expect that people are going to support you even in the spiritual community. And that I was shocked when Alan told me after he passed, because that was one of the first, another thing he said. He said, you're going to get the greatest pushback from mediums. And I said, Alan, how can that be? Mediums know that there's life after death, and they know that they can communicate with the spirit world. He goes, well, yeah. He says, but they have their own fixed beliefs that are very limiting. He goes, I know that. He's Pam, because I was trained as a medium. I studied with one of the greatest mediums in Britain. And that's the mindset. Life is for the living. You have to let them go and all that, what he calls crap, like it's not true. But again, that's what he was taught. That's what he believed when he crossed over. And then we crossed over and he realized, wait, I can continue this relationship. And in fact, he realized that was what we were meant to do. And not only that, we were meant to help other people. So I said, all right, I'm on it. I'm in it. Like whatever. I signed up for it. I'll do whatever I can, because that's always been my mission, to be of service since 1987 when I opened up, and 1988 when I started working full time as a conscious channeler. And right now, as I'm talking to you, I'm channeling. I channel whenever I'm working with people. I just go into a higher state. I'm not one to go into trance, because I've been doing this conscious channeling again for now 37 years. So not all channelers are here for that experience, but I'm here for that. But this incredible experience with him just kept unfolding, but it wasn't that physical. And yet the people we began teaching were reporting physical experiences. And I know some of them may be post commenting below here after this live, sharing their stories. And he said, yeah, we're going to help people whose relationships are more physical, intangible than ours. And at first I was like, wait, that's not fair. My human self was like, well, what about me? Hey, what about me? Right? Like, that's only normal, right? And then my guides came in and they said, but this is what you agreed to, remember? You agreed to hold the space. You agreed to support everybody and hold the vision and hold it steady. And you and Alan are doing that when you work together. You're holding the state and literally facilitating the spirit world and this world, right? Like people in this world to come together. But we had to kind of hold the door open on either end, is what they showed me. So I said, all right, like I put my personal ego needs aside. That's fine. And they said, well, you've had a lot of practice doing that already in your marriage, which is true. And they said to me, but you're going to know joy and love that few in a body have ever experienced. And that is your reward. And I said, great, I'm all in. This is possible for anybody who opens up to this journey. But I want to say right up front, though, if this is not for people who just think there's something they're going to learn and that I'm going to teach them, and then off they go. I go, no, 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 no. This is a journey of transformation. Transformation doesn't happen in one workshop. Transformation doesn't even happen in 5 workshops. It's a process, and every person's process is different. Every person's journey is different. Every relationship is different. When he showed me the people in our academy that we work with, and he showed me the different relationships, and I said, they're all unique, but they're all exploring different things. And so there's different challenges that each individual in a body and in spirit are working with. Okay, because just because you cross over doesn't mean, oh, you're not working on anything. You still have your growth going on. You're still exploring and learning and becoming more. It doesn't end. And that's why we say you might as well get started on your growth now, because when you cross over, you're going to have to still work on it. It doesn't go away. Here people are thinking, well, I'll just wait till I die, or I'll kick the bucket and then I won't have any problems. I'm not saying you won't have any problems. You'll be in spirit, so you can get anything you want, right? Like snap your finger, like that. But you still are working on yourself. You're still growing. And so if there's something you didn't finish that you started when you were here, you're going to keep working on it. So you don't really get out of that. That's you that put that challenge on your plate in this life. And this is the time of awakening, which means that more than ever before in history, in this world, do you have the energy coming through from the other side and the support of all your guides and angels and loved ones in spirit to help you break through. So if it calls to you, then step up to it. And that's what our work is about, helping people to do that. But for me personally, right now, as before in the beginning, there actually was a lot more, I would say a lot more kind of quasi-physical contact in the beginning, because I kind of needed that. I kind of needed to repair the lack of affection and attention that way. But as that got completely filled, like I literally got my needs met in all ways, I realized, okay, I don't need that reassurance anymore. And maybe you do, and that's okay. And maybe you'll have that for the rest of your days in a body, and that's okay with your partner, right? But I'm just talking about me. So never compare your journey with mine. You're on a completely unique journey. Do not compare yourself to anybody. I'm just telling you what I went through and what I have seen and noticed with people that we work with. At this point, it's been hundreds and hundreds of people who we have helped connect across the veil in our Bridge to Heaven sessions. Okay, not everybody picked that up and ran with it and really forged their relationship, because humans being humans, people get distracted. And I'm probably talking to some of them that we worked with right now are saying, oh yeah, that's me. I didn't go back to practicing that. Right. That's why we created our academy, because the other side said people need to be in a program where they're constantly immersed in these teachings, because you're really changing their map of reality. It's so easy to go to a workshop, if we were to teach one like this, to go to the workshop and go, this is cool, this is great, oh my God, I'm going to do this. And then you go home, go back to being who you were. You do. I've seen it happen over 37 years. People take a workshop, go through a major shift, say, I'm going to change, I'm going to do this now. And they go home, they go back to being who they are. And that's it. They kind of lose it all. It was like a nice experience, a nice peak experience, but they didn't integrate it. And the other side told me, you can't do that. You have to help people integrate it, and it may take some of them a year. Others, it might take 5 years, whatever. They said everybody's different, but a single workshop, it will move the needle a bit, but this is a journey of transformation. It's not a journey of just learning something. And I'm still learning, and I'm still feeling like different things. And so now with Alan, lately, he's like going backwards. Like before, he wasn't giving me physical signs, and I was complaining about it. If you read our book, there's a chapter in there called "Where Are My Damn Pelicans?" where I said, "Why are you sending this woman who asked you to send her pelicans, sending these 16 pelicans to her when you won't even send me anything that I asked for?" Right? If I didn't ask for something, he'd send it. But if I asked for something specific, didn't happen, not happening. I didn't realize till later that it was me setting it up. That my higher self, which is running the show really, and yours is too. My higher self was like, no, you need to learn to believe that in Alan, and there's a reason why it's not happening, and so just let it go. Like, stop getting angry at him. Stop insisting that he do certain things. Let it go. You're getting everything you need, and you've got to start believing that. And that was one of my big lessons that I'm trying to pass on to our students, that whatever is happening is exactly what we need, even if it's not what we want. Okay? Because that's how the universe is set up, to meet our needs, but not always meet our wants. So as soon as I really got that one, it's like, oh, okay, and I'll let it go. Like, no insistence. All I expect is that I'm going to feel love. I'm going to feel love for him, which I do every single day, every moment. Anything beyond that, I go, okay, that's a bonus. That's like an extra. All my expectations are met every day, every moment. Anything else is extra. And I'm grateful for every little thing, every big thing. I don't see any difference in them. I don't measure anything. I'm in it for the journey. I'm not in it for whatever the phenomena is. Like, I don't care about that. I just literally care about feeling the love, because I know it's the love that will heal me and uplift me and is all that matters, because all the other stuff is just window dressing, and it's for the physical mind that wants to have all the window dressing. Okay, and that's okay to an extent. That's okay. We understand that, but you can't get fixated on that. So now he's like doing stuff like randomly around the house, or when we're teaching on Zoom, he makes the fireworks go off in the background when I'm not making any gesture to trigger my MacBook on Zoom to bring it to life, right? Or even right now, I did that thumbs up thing. Like, what? Like, he does things like that. Not all the time, and certainly he's already told me I'm not going to do it when you tell me to do it, only because that's not how this works. You get what you need. And that's what he wanted to explain to me again, right? You get what you need. But he does that. Fireworks going off, balloons falling down from above when we're on Zoom. And that's his way of saying, I'm here, I'm always here, and other things, moving things around now. And he didn't do this like years ago in the beginning when I kept wanting him to do it. But that's so typical of my husband. And maybe it's typical of your loved one. Maybe they're not the kind of person that would just jump at your order, right? Like, you do this. Others, their loved ones may jump through all those hoops, that maybe that's what they need. And that's why they're going to get it. But that's clearly not what I needed, not for my growth. Okay. Maybe as my ego needed it, but my soul, my spirit, which is really what this is about, didn't need that. Or I would have gotten that from Alan. And again, it comes back to, you get what you need, not what you want. What you need is what's going to make you happy. It's what's going to fulfill you in every way. Getting what you want can oftentimes just leave you feeling empty. because you wanted and wanted it so much, and then it comes and it's like, wait, this is not what I thought. It doesn't make me feel like what I thought I would feel. It's because it wasn't really what you needed. It's just what your ego said, latched onto and said, well, we want that. I want that. He's more present in my life than he was when he was in a body. And that's why when my dear friend Swati complained to Alan in the very beginning, because she was so worried about me. She was so worried about me. It broke her heart that when Alan passed, because she was seeing him and hearing him before he passed. She was in contact with him. Didn't tell me till after he passed. He appeared to her in her bedroom the day that he did cross over, telling her, "Hi, I'm leaving." And she was so upset. Like, oh my God, he's going to die today. He's leaving today. Pam's going to be devastated, which of course I was. And she reached out to me that night after he crossed over and said, I just want you to know that Alan appeared to me and he was so happy he was leaving. But yet, of course, he's really sad to leave you, but he's not gone. He's not really leaving you. And she was probably the first person that really emphasized to me after he passed that this was going to continue. She said, it's only starting now. This is your real relationship. The other one was, in a sense, the fake relationship, meaning between two people who are more in their ego, negative ego, being with their fears and insecurities. And she said, now you're going to step into being all that you are, who you are. And Alan has too. He's still in the process. When he just crossed over, he's still in the process. But she said he will be. He'll be the higher version of himself. And he's calling you to be the higher version of you. And that's why your relationship is going to be on a whole other level, right? And she was the first person to explain that to me. And still she was worried and complained to him, like, oh, Alan, I'm just so worried that Pam's going to be lonely and I don't want her to be lonely. And he said to her really quietly, Swati, Pam was completely alone so many times in the 30 years of our marriage. And now she will never be alone. And she feels me and she hears me and I love her and she loves me and everything is going to be as it should have been when I was in the body, but now it's going to be even better. Right. So that didn't, of course, stop my dear friend from still worrying about me, but he was right. He said she was lonely before. And I would have continued to be lonely if he hadn't come back and started talking to me and started showing up and started showing up to other people, to other mediums, and making it clear that we're not done. Now, does that mean your relationship isn't done? Could be. I can't promise you. I know that not everybody is going to continue this, just like I said at the start of today's session, right? And not everybody's going to continue their relationship. They can, though. Everybody can. That's a different story. Like, will they? Did they plan it? And this is what I want to say to anybody who's questioning, well, should I even try this? How do I know? There is everything to gain and nothing to lose by you reaching out to someone you love that's in the spirit world. There's nothing for you to lose. If, and I just say if, because this is not, a certainty, because everybody's journey is different. If your soul has planned for you to go into another relationship, that opportunity will come your way. It will, because that means that you created it. It's part of the destiny you planned for yourself, right? So it will happen. And even if it happens, it doesn't mean that you have to take it. You'd have to say yes to it, because you can always change your mind. You're not locked into anything. This is the free will universe. That's law, spiritual law. So you can't miss something that you're destined to experience. It will present itself to you and you'll get to decide, all right, I think I will proceed with this. Or you might go, nah, you know what? I'm good. Because maybe this just was planned as an option. Maybe your soul said, well, I'm going to try to connect with my loved one across the veil and continue my relationship. But in case I just can't, like I can't do it, and I really need a partner that's in a body, I'm going to have this other option, this other plan. And so if that person shows up and you feel drawn to them, that feels right to you, then go for it. But if it doesn't, it doesn't. And it means you'll be fine either way. If you're happy with whatever your life is giving you, don't worry about the details. All I know is reaching for somebody who's in non-physical, who's basically able to love us unconditionally, has the power to heal and transform us in ways that no relationship in a body can do, except maybe 1%. Oh, Alan's saying it's 1%, 1%. Because people in a body have a negative ego. There's no way around it. And so most people, 99.9% of people, are going to feel this need of being exclusive, right? Like you only love me and me above all others. And yes, in a sense that exists in the spirit world, and yet it doesn't. This is a whole other level of love. So by reaching for somebody who loves you unconditionally, which expands you, because in order for you to really feel them, connect with them, your challenge is to love yourself unconditionally, which again, very few people do. And even if you can't love yourself completely unconditionally, you certainly, at the minimum, need to deem yourself as worthy, right? And love yourself on a very fundamental level, not judge yourself, not criticize yourself or others. You need to at least do that. That alone transforms your life, up levels your frequency, means that you're going to have more of your own soul energy coming through and into you, and it can change you and make you happier and fulfilled. They know this, you see. They know that their love can help us on so many levels, and they know that right now on this planet, because of everything that's going on in the crazy world we live in, that people are lost and confused. And only when you are connected to who you truly are will you find your way through that confusion, because you're not going to find it turning to other people. They're just as lost and confused as you are. Let's get real here. You got to go up. The support is up, meaning in a higher dimension, whether that's your guide, your loved one, your angels, your own higher self, which is your soul. So connecting to our soul's guidance, to the love of our loved ones across the veil, right? All that is really what we need all the time, but especially during times of great transformation and challenge like we're facing now. Okay, because again, the people, the institutions, right, that you might have been able to rely on before are probably cracking at their foundations, and you're not sure what to do, right? That's when you got to go within and go up. So we hope that helped you. I know that every relationship is different, and it's phenomenal if you're having this more intimate experience, which I know people are having. I've met so many people that have had so many unique connections, with their loved ones. And some even like see them like very vividly and see them all the time very vividly. And I want to go on to get into all that. Sometimes that is somebody a spirit that hasn't crossed over. But for the most part, they do cross over. and your loved one, especially if you're feeling this love blast that I'd call it, that I felt from Ellen, that means your loved one has crossed over, because they can't really give you that level of love unless they've been transformed by the love that they've crossed over and then returned. Right. So if this interests you to go further, read our book, join our academy, join our Skool community if you haven't done that already, because we have a Skool community on Skool. It's called Supernatural Love Inner Circle. So find us on Skool and just stay in touch. Keep your eye on this channel. And if this helped you, please comment below, subscribe if you can, but most of all, comment. Let us know if you would like more videos like this, or what do you want us to talk about. By the way, we are going to do more healings on this channel, because what you need is not information. You need to change. And the only way to change is that you heal what's blocking you and in your way. So you can expect more healing videos, because the two of us have always been healers, and we just haven't done as much of that on YouTube. We do that in our academy. We do that in our workshops, but we haven't done it much on YouTube. But those are coming your way. Look for them. We're here to serve. We're here to help you. But just know that your loved ones, when they cross over, they're with you. And you're never alone in your space. I wish I could show you what I see with everybody. Your field around you is filled with beings who love you, who are benevolent, who are doing everything they can to help you and guide you. But you, my friend, have to take the action. It doesn't do any good if you just sit there and just not change. Don't do anything different. So what can you do that's different? Just choose one thing. Follow your joy, and it will lead you to the next step. Right? All right, we send you our love. And again, comment, subscribe, all those things. You know what to do, right? And we'll see you here next week. Bye-bye now.